Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome back to another episode of the Ummahpreneur Live podcast. And with me, I have a very special guest today, Brother Adam Kaan, the founder and CEO of Fit Dad Life Mastery. Assalamu alaikum, Brother Adam. How are you today?
Alhamdulillah. I'm a little bit rough. I think I've got a cold. I don't think it's COVID, but I'm feeling a little bit under the weather.
SubhanAllah. Well, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you shifa, brother. I know it's been, it is cold season right now. And it's been a little bit crazy as well with COVID. I mean, people have been sick a little bit everywhere, SubhanAllah. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant you shifa. And I appreciate you joining me on this podcast despite you feeling unwell. It just showcases your dedication and, your willingness to contribute and give some value. So I really do appreciate that. And I'm grateful for it. I want to honor your time and honor your presence, and hopefully have a conversation today that will give benefit to, all the listeners. I know that you especially focus on helping professional dads, people who are essentially, fathers, and they're busy and they most likely have children and families and careers. And, most of them, as we all know, sometimes, what happens is our health kind of falls on the wayside. Our health and fitness is secondary to our main priority, which is, earning and providing and being the dads we need to be. And what your focus is you've actually decided to focus on helping specifically dads lose 20 to 30 kgs, in a few short months, essentially take control of their health, perform better in all areas of their lives. And you've done so very successfully, mashallah. I've seen your testimonials. I've seen images on your social media of your clients and the transformations that they were able to achieve. So in our conversation today, I want to talk a little bit about, your journey as an entrepreneur, what it's like being a fitness coach from an entrepreneurial perspective, as well as maybe kind of dig out a few tips from you in regards to, how dads listening to this can get a little bit healthier and maybe put their life, their health and fitness first again and prioritize it, inshallah, so they can feel better and look better and have that confidence that they need to have, inshallah. So a perfect place to start is for you to share with us, if you may, what was it that actually even inspired you to become a fitness coach and specifically help fathers? Why did you focus on helping dads?
Okay, so my journey into fitness is separate from my journey into entrepreneurship. Mm-hmm. So my journey into fitness was seeing my dad have a heart attack when I was like about 8-9 years old, and then following that, when I was about 13 or 14, he suffered a stroke. And then he was housebound, and my mum became the main carer, and he suffered a lot for the last 8-9 years of his life. And he passed away in 2002. Now, my dad was very old school. We never had a car. He walked everywhere. He's very active. He was very anti takeaway, anti fast food. Very much against it. But plus at that time, we never had Uber Eats. You never had all these food venues all over the place. Now you have dessert shops, you have fast food venues, about 15 in a 1 mile radius. 15 is an understatement. When I was growing up, there was like 1 or 2. So despite that, my dad suffered a heart attack. And as Asians, we are already predisposed to that. And not a lot of people are aware. Even I have a lot of clients who are doctors, and sometimes they get surprised when I tell them the statistics. So Asian men, South Asian men, and this accounts for Arabs and all of that continent, are 6 times more likely to suffer from heart disease, diabetes, and strokes in their 30s, and that seems to be getting younger and younger each year. So, so my dad was already probably predisposed to that. So he had a heart attack, and then he had a stroke later on, and they're all the same. It's all the same mechanism. Mm-hmm. And I had a really, really tough time with my health. From the age of 15 to about 19, I got a rare case of tuberculosis.
Okay.
That caused me to deteriorate really badly, to the point where I became housebound, and for a few months I was even bedbound. And we couldn't find a cure to it. The doctor struggled with it. And then at that time, when something's taken away, you value it. So at that time, when I became bedbound, I promised that if I recovered, I wouldn't take my health for granted. And then, alhamdulillah, after, and if you read some of my blogs and stuff, you can read the full journey. It's quite a lengthy one. So, at the age of 20, I recovered. And after I recovered, for the first time in my life, I started gaining weight. So, I ignored it at first. It was a good thing because I was underweight prior to that, like 7 stones at 19 years of age. So I started gaining weight, and the first time ever, I could see some fat on me. And initially it was a good thing, but then it just kept getting worse and worse. And one of my friends at university kept trying to convince me to join him at the gym. I ignored it, made all sorts of excuses, like the kind of excuses that a lot of people make now. And then eventually, one day I went, and this was the Christmas holidays of 2001. I went there, I got the bug, I lost all my weight, but I became skinny fat. But I was skinny, but then following year, I got married, had kids, busy, family, dad and everything, but I was still going to the gym 3, 4, 5 times a week. I was supposedly eating healthy, but I started piling on the weight. Then I struggled with my weight for the next 10 years. Even though I was going to the gym, eating healthy, and all the rest of it, I was still struggling with my weight. I couldn't get the weight off. Around 2012 is when I finally managed to lose weight and keep it off. And then I went on this journey of trying to really understand how weight loss happens, what's the processes that you can use, and how do people who lose weight keep sustainably and keep it off for a long time. So I got in touch with coaches, courses, programs, and I went on them and I looked at how other coaches who managed to help people lose weight and keep it off do it. So I did a number of courses and stuff, like £1,000, and I discovered the secret. So then you ask me, why did I get into South Asian dads? Well, because I am a dad. I'm a dad, and I understand the struggles of a Muslim male dad faces. And I have worked with other demographics. So prior to launching I launched my business, and then I put it on hold, and I got headhunted by another coach with a very lucrative offer. So I started coaching for him, and he was paying me really, really well. So I would say sometimes it's more than what I can earn even in my own business. So he's paying me really well, but I was coaching mainly middle-aged white females. And I couldn't relate to them. Their challenges, and then the other issues that they had with the hormones and the menstrual cycles, and then they weren't Muslim females, so they drink wine. Most evenings they finish work and they come home and drink wine, chocolate, and many other issues. I really struggled to relate to that. So I found it very, very challenging. Although I managed to do a good job, managed to get results, I still found it very challenging. And the fact that I was unrelatable really, really bugged me. So I thought, if I could take this and make it, if I could do something similar, but with a demographic that I could relate to and really have that strong connection, it would be amazing. So I gave my notice in end of November 2020, and I came back to my own business and I started building that up. And alhamdulillah, I managed to build a community. I did have a small community prior to working for the other guy, but then since 2020, December 2020, I've been building my community of brothers who have the same challenges, struggles, and all the rest of it. And I also find having a like-minded community where everybody has similar goals, challenges, and aspirations, it makes it a lot easier for them to support each other and for you to be able to give them guidance without spreading yourself too thin. That makes sense.
Oh, definitely, man. The power of community is amazing. And you've built that. When you say you built a community, what do you mean by building a community? Do you mean like you created a Facebook group or you something online, or how did you go about it?
So all of my clients, we have one-to-one. So when someone joins our program, we have they get put into a private Telegram group and a private Facebook group. So I have a free Facebook group, and I have one for clients. However, I found with my demographic, the Facebook group it's not used very often. It's not on fire. Like when I was working with the other coach, the Facebook group was on fire. It's like really active, very very active. But with my demographic, I find they prefer Telegram. So the Telegram group is very active, but the Facebook group isn't as active. But I do find Facebook's quite useful for disseminating content in a particular manner, video, pictures, and you can always search stuff and find it again. But they're just bonus additions. They're not the core of the program. So if somebody didn't have Facebook, it's not an obstacle. They can still join the program. Like our program is delivered via a coaching app. So we have our own bespoke coaching app, which you can download on your Android or Apple, and you can access it via the internet as well. So there's a web app version and there's a mobile app version as well. So that is the medium for the delivery of all of the coaching, the infographics, the videos, the texts, and all of that, the weekly group coaching calls. Then we have the weekly group coaching calls. Once again, that's done on a separate platform to Facebook. And then you can have one-to-one calls. And then there's the weekly coaching emails. So you give them set tasks based on what you need. So you do a complete audit and we see what you need, what your challenges are. And then you have access to a coach as well. So I have 3 coaches working for me, and then there's myself. So you'll be assigned to one coach and you can communicate with them directly via Telegram. But everybody is put into this Telegram group and into Facebook group. So we have past and current clients. Up to yet, we are going to have to start removing people because it's becoming unmanageable now as we get to over 100 clients. Yeah. But previously, one of the promises I made is that you get lifetime access to this community. But like I said, now it's becoming unmanageable. So we are going to be looking at removing that lifetime access. So you're only in those communities whilst you're a current client. But we have a free community as well. But everybody bonds and everybody really supports each other. Everybody's rooting for each other. They share their struggles, their challenges, their wins. And we even have a thing where we call Topless Tuesdays. Not everybody participates, but few do, and they show their results from there. So that's the community. And if you watch some of the video reviews, you'll see some of the brothers saying that, look, one of the best things is that community. And we even have like dinners and get-togethers and things like that. We plan to do more of them, and all the brothers would love to be able to all just meet. And a lot of them are looking forward to meeting some of the brothers who they've already been communicating with via Telegram. So they're looking forward to meeting them in person. So inshallah, in the future, we're looking at having events, like big events or even retreats, where everybody past and present, can get together.
I love that, mashallah. Well, it sounds like you really built an entire ecosystem to provide that support and provide that help, give them not only the coaching, the training, but also the community and kind of like the family aspect that you want them to experience when it comes to having a family of other like-minded peers that support them on this journey of fitness, because it is a journey that requires a lot of consistency. It requires a lot of commitment. And that actually brings me to my next question, which is, what has been the biggest misconception for you that you found about losing weight since you've started working with clients? What is usually like a misconception that they have when they come to you that you kind of need to debunk and work with them through?
The biggest one is that you have to exercise, or you need to join. Exercise has been sold as the panacea. And then there's different forms of exercise that has been sold as like HIIT training and various other forms of training. And the tougher a workout is, the better is it, fat loss and all the rest of it. That is, without a doubt, the biggest misconception, because exercise in and of itself is very insignificant to weight loss. It accounts for about 5% of the weight loss results. And people say 20 and things like that, but if you were to go on our program and see how I break everything down, you'll see statistically, from the research, we can gather it's about 5%. If you did 1 hour training in a day and it was quite a tough workout, it would account for about 5% of your total daily energy expenditure. So that is the biggest misconception, because especially when dads, they don't have time to go to the gym. to commute to the gym or and then train and then finish and the shower and all the rest of it, that can be a massive mental hurdle because they feel like, well, I haven't got time, so I'm not going to bother. So yeah, that would be it.
So how do you overcome that? If it's not exercise, then what is it that you focus on with your clients?
So I always say on my post that it's not exercise. Now, there's a bit of a problem. I've discovered it's become a bit of a problem because we do end of program surveys as well. So when you sign up, you have an onboarding survey. They ask you how the onboarding process went. Did you what struggle? Did you find it easy and all the rest of it? Then we have like a halftime survey, and then we have an end of program survey. So on the end of program survey, a few people said, "Look, we thought it's a gimmick because you said everyone's telling us like you have to exercise, and you said we don't have to exercise, so we just stopped, dismissed it straight away." But then others have said, "Look, we struggle to find out how you are different from everybody else." So a bit of a dilemma here now, because if I say you don't have to exercise, well, that can't be true because everyone's saying you have to exercise. How can this person say that you don't have to exercise? So that can't be true. So it's a fad, it's a scam. And then if I say, oh, well, you have to exercise, you have to do HIIT training, you have to do all the rest of it, oh, then you're like everybody else. So how are you any different? So it's a lose-lose situation. But nevertheless, we get a lot of our people from referrals. Most of the clients are from referrals. I'd say about 70% from probably from referrals. Now, so it's other people telling them that, look, this works. So if one person, so through all our marketing efforts, if we get one person, that one person tells 5 others, or they lose weight and 5 others see them, then we get the majority from that. Now, sorry, the question you asked was, how do you overcome that?
Yeah.
A lot of mindset work at the start, education. We really educate. So we have these lengthy coaching calls where I draw on research from as recent as 2020 and even 2021 and 2019, and I pull up all this research and I show them that these are the graphs and charts and statistics. So we educate them on that, plus we give them a process to follow, and they start to see results in like 5 days. In 7 days they see a result and like, wow, like this actually works. So we always say, just to be on the safe side, we always say, look, we want 21 days of consistency. So the 21 days helps you to form a habit. Plus, I send out a little card. I give them a welcome pack, and I send out a little card with a tick of boxes. And if you've ever heard chimp paradox, you need to satisfy your chimp. So these boxes and rewards and things can help you to satisfy the chimp. So I tell them that, look, try to stick to 21 days of consistency. Whether you feel it's working or not working, just be consistent for 21 days and let's see what happens. But normally within 7 days, they see a result. It's like, wow, like this is so easy and this actually works. So then that motivates them to do more of it. But at the same time, we're working on mindset, working on education. A large portion of it's mindset. I give them morning routines to do, set them goals and targets based off of what they need, because everybody's needs are going to be different.
When you started off as a coach and you decided that you wanted to become an online fitness coach, we have a lot of listeners that are interested in starting businesses or growing their businesses. What would you say were what would you credit towards your success as an online fitness coach? What are maybe the things, or if you can give us maybe 3 tips with other coaches of things that they can do to either start or grow their coaching business?
Really consistency. Well, first of all, your passion has to align with a need. Like there has to be a need. So as long as you have a passion for something and that merges with a need, then that is pretty much validating your idea. You have to validate your idea. If somebody doesn't have a pain point that they're willing to pay for, then it might not be a worthwhile venture. So you validate your passion with a need. Now, then it's consistency. You have to be consistent. Like you're gonna have lots of ups and downs. And it's going to be tough. It's going to be really, really tough. But you have to show up and do the work, as well as work smart. And you have to be continually focused on personal growth. And the other thing is really important, that you invest into yourself, that you invest into learning, developing, and growing as yourself. One of the things that I always tell people who are looking at hiring a coach is, does the coach have a coach? Has that coach had a coach? If a coach doesn't believe in coaching, then there's lack of congruency. Because I've got friends who are personal trainers, and they would never invest in a coach or a personal trainer or into themselves. But then they're expecting clients to invest into them. So consistency, and be good at what you do. Like, be able to get results. And don't be mediocre, because another thing that I find amongst our community, South Asian community, and maybe even the Muslim community, is we're content with mediocrity. We're okay to just be average in the middle. Be the best you can. And I was listening to Seth Godin recently. I think he pronounced it Godin, or is it Godin? Godin. So the purple cow. So you have to be different, and most of his books are good. So be different, have your own unique. But uniqueness is going to come with you anyway. Everybody's unique, so you don't have to be somebody else. And that's another mistake I think entrepreneurs make, personal trainers, and many other areas, is that they try to copy somebody else and be somebody else, which you don't need to be. Just being yourself is being unique, but be very good at what you do and deliver on your promise.
Yeah. Right now, with yourself as a coach, working with your clients, how do you feel? How important do you focus, or do you focus on? You mentioned exercise is not really a huge focus that you have within your program and with your work with your clients. So then, do you focus on sleep patterns? Do you focus on nutrition, lifestyle habits? What are the things that you focus on instead to try to shift with your clients?
So our program has 5 pillars. Exercise is one pillar, but it's an optional pillar. If you have the time, fantastic, go for it. Especially if you want to change the shape of your body. If you want to change the shape of your body and not just lose weight and just be a skinnier version of your former self, then exercise, especially resistance training, is absolutely essential. Plus, if you want to increase your metabolism slightly and keep weight off for the long term, again, exercise becomes important. So I do try and push it towards the latter part of the program. So we have like a 24-week program, and we have a 12-week program. Anybody who has more than 18 kg to lose, we recommend the 24-week program. And anybody who has 18 kg or less, we recommend the 12-week program. And towards the end of those 12 weeks, I always try and push exercise a little bit more. So if they have the time, go ahead and exercise. But we don't want it to be a mental barrier. We don't want it to be a mental barrier where they think, okay, because I can't exercise, everything else is going to go off. So the 5 pillars that we have is mindset. And under mindset, we have education, and we have working on the intrinsic motivation. That's really important. And even with entrepreneurship, intrinsic motivation is really important. Unless you know your why, you're going to fall. Like, as soon as you have an obstacle, you're going to quit. So intrinsic motivation, education, and mindset. The mindset, when I say mindset, where I distinguish it from the other two, is rewiring their thinking patterns and their limiting beliefs, helping them to overcome their limiting beliefs, whether that is related to education, i.e., if I eat after 6 p.m., I'm going to gain weight, or breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Then you get somebody else to tell you that no, skip breakfast and fast. Then other limiting beliefs might be that they believe that they're genetically predisposed to being overweight, or that they're just big boned, or carbs make them fat, or it's toxins or hormones. So we help them overcome all of these limiting beliefs. So that's mindset. Second one is behavior change. We are focused heavily on behavior change and changing their lifestyle, but we do it gradually. So it doesn't feel overwhelming or overbearing. So we gradually change their lifestyle, improving their sleep, improving their relationship with food, making sure they're getting enough fluids and water, making sure that they're eating nutritiously. So nutritiously, so that again, mindset comes into this as well and rewiring. So previously, they might have seen eating healthy as a chore or as a punishment. So we will get them to think differently. So eating nutritious food is nourishment, and it's rewarding your body, and it's a part of self-care rather than a punishment. Plus, we give them recipes and foods that they're used to anyway. So it's not, we don't put them on this horrible chicken and broccoli diet. Make small tweaks. We give them recipes, but at the same time, if you said, look, Adam, I don't like any of these recipes. Here's what I'm eating in my house. How can you tweak this? We can tweak it for you and make it healthy. So second pillar is behavior change. Once again, for some people, it's not even the food. Their issue is they're not sleeping. Right? Their sleep is terrible. So when they wake up in the morning, they're lacking energy. So they're knocking back Red Bulls, but they don't understand that the sugar in the Red Bull is quite high. So it might just be a simple case of if you need the Red Bulls, have the sugar-free version. But then they might have been led to believe that aspartame is going to kill them, so they avoid that. So, or it's simply a case of get to bed on time, have a sleep hygiene routine, get to bed on time. And we found that with some clients where their biggest obstacle was really their lack of sleep. Now they're sleeping well, they wake up fresh, they don't need the 10 biscuits and a Red Bull for breakfast or a strong coffee. They're fine. And their willpower is stronger, or it's not even willpower, but their ability to resist junk food is greater because they don't feel tired and lethargic anymore. So focusing on those lifestyle changes, behaviors, habits, routines, gradually, and building on those. Third pillar is nutrition. So again, weight loss comes down to just being in calorie deficit. But the question is, why are you not in a calorie deficit? Where are the biggest leaks in your bucket? Where is the surplus calories coming from? And you'll see it's related to, again, the way they're thinking, the toxic mindsets. It's related to their behaviors, their general lifestyle. So we educate them on nutrition, how food is neither good or bad, like aspartame. And if you wanted to reduce calories, you can through zero-calorie beverages and other low-calorie foods, and they're not really as bad as the people like to believe. Our fourth pillar is exercise. If you've got all of these three things in check and you have time for exercise, go for it. But it's them other three things that are going to make the biggest difference. Exercise is only just the icing on the cake. Now, we do, however, we do encourage you to increase your activity levels. Like increasing activity levels is a non-negotiable. You have to increase activity levels. You can lose weight without increasing activity levels, but it just means that you have to eat less or eat fewer calories. Not necessarily eat less, because a lot of the clients tell me, "Oh, I can't even finish the food," because they're eating better foods and making better choices, which has a lot of bulk and fewer calories. But you do have to consume fewer calories to lose weight. Now, if you exercise, so that'll give you that tiny bit more of a dent or a bit more of a calorie allowance because you're exercising. But again, to build shape, to build size, to get stronger, to reduce your, to improve your health markers, exercise is fantastic. For overall health, exercise is brilliant and it should be non-negotiable. Our fifth pillar is the coaching that brings everything together. Again, if something's not working or you can't figure out why it's, it's like a maze, for example, sometimes and you've taken a wrong turn and you don't know which way to go to get back on track. That's where the coaching comes in, and we're able to guide you through the process.
I love that, mashallah. These are sounds like a very extensive and thorough approach that you have built here that really covers all aspects of a person's life and mindset and lifestyle to really help ignite and really just help them achieve that transformation that they would like to achieve in their bodies and in their health and fitness, inshallah. And you've worked now with many clients, and alhamdulillah, your coaching business is one that, when you look at your case studies and your testimonials, it's one that essentially has the proof is in the pudding, right? Like the proof is in the clients that you've worked with and the results that they've achieved, which is beautiful to see, mashallah. Now, a question in regards to that is, for you as a coach now, as you're growing your business and as you're going through this journey, what was maybe a lesson that you've learned as an entrepreneur or as a coach, that you didn't necessarily know when you first got started? Is there a lesson that you've learned along this journey for yourself as a coach that you can maybe share with us on this podcast today?
Yeah, in terms of as a coach, or in terms of as an entrepreneur?
I would say as an entrepreneur in general. Sure.
Yeah, as an entrepreneur, I've learned that the biggest challenge you're going to have is going to be staffing. And the hardest part of business isn't the beginning, or it may seem like the beginning, but the hardest part is actually the middle.
Yeah.
Once you've got your initial startup and you're humming along, and then you get to a middle where you're stuck between being a new business and the next stage in your growth, the middle, and they call it the messy middle. That is the most challenging part, because your business is going to go like this, and then it's going to go there, and then it's going to go like this.
Yeah.
For a long time. And that's the hardest part, is staffing, hiring, and managing staff, hiring and managing good staff, and also sticking it out through that middle part where, where it feels like you're dragging yourself through a treacle, and, you have really highs, and then you have big lows, and then you have highs and lows, and thinking, right, is this going to be the trajectory of my business for the rest of my, the rest of my life? It's getting past that part and then accelerating towards growth again.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. And I'm experiencing that in our business as well with Ummahpreneur, in the sense that, when I started Ummahpreneur as well, it was just me. It's just the vision that I had and something that I wanted to do. Alhamdulillah, now we're a team of about 5 within the organization. And, even within that, I mean, there were people that have joined and left along the way. And I would say one of the things that consumes, a lot of my time and energy is, essentially just managing the team and training them and making sure that they're comfortable within the roles, and they have everything they need to succeed. And then along with that, trying to continue to grow the business and make sure everything is functional. It takes a lot of work, a lot of energy, a lot of dedication, commitment. And as you mentioned, it goes from upwards when you're first starting to now like a roller coaster, subhanallah. But it's also really satisfying when you finally do get the right people in the right positions, and then you can see just the impact that they bring to your team and your company, and how they can do things that you wouldn't have thought of or you wouldn't have been able to do on your own. That's a really satisfying feeling as well. Definitely.
That's when you have very creative staff, and usually this is the I have a consultant as well who I work with, and he pointed out to me, he said, look, you're obviously an entrepreneur, and you're going to gel with other entrepreneurs who have a lot of ideas, very creative and stuff. He goes, but they may not necessarily be the right person for a role. And we had this conversation last month, and he said, look, what you might need to look for now is people who don't want to be entrepreneurs. They just want to work.
Yeah.
They just want to work, and they want to be the worker bees. They enjoy working. They just want to work for somebody else, do the best they can, and switch off after 5 p.m. and go about their business. Yes, but then with those people, you don't get a lot of creative ideas. With the entrepreneurs, you have the creative ideas, but then they don't. A lot of entrepreneurs, if they join another business venture, they don't stick around. They have their own ambitions.
Correct.
And then if you have those who just want to work, you'll find that they don't generate a lot of ideas. They don't really propel the business forward unless you're still at the helm of the ship.
Well, yeah, what I've noticed actually, to comment on it. So what I've noticed, at least in my case with Ummahpreneur, is that I would say with most of my team, it's kind of like a little bit of both. in that they have that creativity of entrepreneurs, and they have, that entrepreneurial thinking, but they also, I think one key is that when you want to hire as a small business and you want a team that's going to stick around, is that you really need people that are going to buy into your vision, that are going to buy into what it is that you're trying to achieve. And I think that's one of the things that I really look for, is that, ultimately people will stick around if they feel like what they're doing and whatever it is that they're working towards is worthwhile, it's worthy, it's a valuable goal for us to attain. And when you find people that have kind of a little bit of both, they have that entrepreneurial mindset, but they also have the ability to be like, hey, this is the work that needs to be done right now. And it might be routine work, but it contributes to a bigger goal. I think when you can find that and you can give them a bigger goal that they can buy into and that they personally relate to and they personally want to see actualized as well, that's when you've hit that sweet spot. But I admit as well, it's not easy to find. That's part of the challenge, right? Is that you have to find those right people that can have the ability of an entrepreneur. They have also the ability to do the work, even if it's routine, and also they can buy into your vision and mission, right?
Absolutely, yeah. You need, in a small business, you need a bit of both.
Yeah.
You need elements of both.
Exactly.
Each member of staff. That's correct, yeah.
Yeah, so it's an interesting journey, subhanAllah. And right now, in your fitness coaching business with your clients, what is it that you plan to do next? What is it that we can expect in the future from, inshallah, Kaan Fitness? What can we see?
Inshallah, I'm looking to organize events. I'm not doing a lot of outreach at the moment. I'm not reaching out to other organizations, masajids and other big organizations, and offering my services to them. So I'm looking at, inshallah, maybe doing workshops, offering workshops, live workshops, where I can go into different organizations and deliver workshops. We're looking at doing retreats, like a weekend retreat, where I just run through my entire content of the program in 2 days or 3 days. Weekend retreats, maybe even a week retreat, and this can be held in the UK or abroad. Having like an award ceremony once a year for some of our best clients, and where they can invite family and friends, and just having an evening, an awards evening. So those are the kind of things I'm looking at. And then also I'm looking at expanding into having my wife do something with females, because I get a lot of requests from females. And so at the moment I can't accommodate them. My wife helps out in my business, and I'm hoping that she'll start her own. She's also a trainer as well, but she's not big into social media. She doesn't like it much. She's one of those, she's on social media and she just likes to observe. So, but I'm trying to encourage her to be more involved and perhaps launch her own thing. She's a personal trainer and she helps people, but like I said, she's not a massive fan of social media. So.
And it's interesting how now, like, social media is so important to growing a business, right? It's so crucial as part of the process, and it's like you have no choice, even if you're someone who doesn't enjoy it. Personally, I don't enjoy it, and people might find that surprising, but I actually, whatever I can do to not be on social media as much as I can myself, then I would do, right? Which is, thankfully, now I'm able to do thanks to my team, so they take care of a lot of the social media content. But I still sometimes have to show up. I don't necessarily enjoy it. If I could choose to be like an anonymous, founder or CEO, I would love to do that. But I think right now, especially when you're starting from scratch on your own, it's so important for people to see who you are and who they're going to be working with. What are your values? What kind of person are you? I think that matters to people when they want to choose who they want to work with.
Absolutely. I mean, I don't mind social media. I've always kind of enjoyed it anyway. So that's not an obstacle for me. But it has got to a point, especially when you grow your business and it becomes bigger, that you can't switch off. So one of the best decisions I made about 6 months ago was to get a separate phone. So on my personal phone, there's zero social media, nothing at all. So I can switch off a little bit. But yeah, you come to a certain point where it just takes over your life. But without Facebook, I would not have a business.
Exactly.
I literally would not have a business without Facebook. Oh, at 99% of my clients come via Facebook.
Mm-hmm.
So it's non-negotiable, really.
Yeah.
And if you're an expert in marketing, you can use email and you can run ads, and even ads, where are you going to run them? You can run them on Facebook, you can run them on Instagram, or you can run them on Google. And Facebook is going to give you the highest ROI. And then you can go into the email campaign, the rest of it. But that is very, very costly, especially when you're starting out.
Definitely. No, I completely agree with you, man. And I think, as you mentioned, it is a necessity, and it is one that even if you're shy, you kind of push yourself, but it's also such a blessing. And it's one thing that I also talk about with my students, and that, they ask, oh, do we need to go on social media? And it's like, fortunately, yes, but it is a blessing, because without it, we wouldn't be able to have these online businesses that we're starting from scratch, and sometimes at no cost, right? Because it doesn't cost money for you to create a social media profile, to get on social media and post content and start to put your business out there. Whereas, if you think just 20, 30 years ago, there was no social media, and you had to really, pass around flyers, or go to your local gym if you're a fitness trainer and try to get a job there as a personal trainer, or maybe open up your own gym. The options were very limited, but now you have online training, you have online fitness coaching, you're able to, create social media profiles and build a business and a brand online. And it's a great blessing, mashallah, because it provides that accessibility where more people have those opportunities.
Yeah. I mean, I was reading something a while back, and it said that a few hundred years ago, business is created by networking and meeting people. A few hundred years ago, the average person only met 80 people in their entire life. So if they had a product or a service, they would only be able to connect with people in their locality, or within the 10-mile, 15-mile radius that they could travel. And most of those connections would be their own friends or family anyway. So right now, like, we can just open a social media account, YouTube, anything, and we can connect with millions and billions of people instantly. And just that alone has opened up so many opportunities to be able to exchange our goods and services. So yeah, it's a huge blessing. And that's one of the things that I used to, when I was going through a dark period in my life in 2012, that's one of the things that I used to kind of remind myself. In my gratitude journaling, I used to write that, we have YouTube, we have this, and we have that, and when you write what are you grateful for, I used to actually write down YouTube, and I used to write down Facebook as things that I was grateful for, because it gave me the opportunity to connect with people and build networks.
Yeah. SubhanAllah, yeah, definitely. I agree with you. There's always two sides of a coin, right? Two ways to see something. I completely agree with you, brother. So there's a question that I ask every single guest that joins me on this podcast. One of my favorites. I love to ask it for you as well. And the question is the following. If you could go back and say one thing to your 18-year-old self, right? Young Adam Kaan, who's about to, inshallah, grow up, be a fitness coach, be an entrepreneur, go on this journey. You could tell him one thing, one piece of advice that he could hold on to throughout his journey. What would that one thing be for you? What would you tell him if you could see him right now?
I'll tell him everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to work out. And that one day you will have a business and be doing well, and everything will be okay.
Alhamdulillah. Sometimes we need to hear that. Why do you feel like? Why would you tell him that? Is it because he needed to hear that at that moment?
I did, yeah. Because when I was 18, when I was going through TB, I was on the verge of committing suicide. So I was going through TB, and I said, and my health deteriorated to the point where I was bedbound and housebound. And often I used to think to myself that if I'm going to be like this, if I'm going to spend the rest of my life lying in bed and be a cabbage, is it worth carrying on? Like, I never thought I would ever recover, because this TB had been deteriorating for so long. Doctors couldn't figure out what was wrong. And you can see a detailed post on this on my website. The doctors couldn't figure out, what was wrong with me, and they made all sorts of theories, and I just kept deteriorating. So I went to see Iraqis, Islamic, Iraqis, and other spiritual leaders who gave me ta'weezes and various other things, and they said it was jinn, it's black magic, it's this, it's that, and I just thought, like, so this is going to be my life then. I'm going to be in bed for the rest of my life, and I'm going to be looked after by somebody else and be a burden. And I thought, look, I don't know if I want to carry on like this. I never thought I was going to recover. So, I mean, the only thing that kept me alive, like I said, was faith. I had quite a bit of grounding in Islamic understanding of the Quran and stuff. And, La yukallifullahu nafsan illa wus'aha. Allah doesn't place on burden more than you can bear. And I knew that suicide is forbidden, and our tests and understanding tests and that whole spiritual dimension kept me alive. But yeah, so I never thought I'd be in this position. I never knew that the world is going to be like this. We had mobile phones that were bricks. Who knew there's going to be Facebook? There's going to be all of this stuff. And we'd be communicating like this, that life is going to be so different in 20 years, in 15 years.
SubhanAllah. Well, I'm really glad to hear that you made it through that challenging period, brother, and that you are here with us today, and that you are able to impact so many lives. Because think about it, if you weren't, then all of these people wouldn't have had those transformations. They wouldn't have had those lives changed in the way that you helped them change, mashallah. So, when you look at sometimes if you're listening to this and you feel like you're in a rut, and you feel like, what you're working on, or you're in a position where you're not feeling well, and you feel like you're not really in a good place, just mentally or spiritually or financially or personally, I want you to listen to this and listen to Brother Adam's words, and really, recognize and realize that wherever you are, it is not permanent. It is temporary. It is a current situation. And as you mentioned so beautifully, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala does not test those with a burden that they cannot bear. So whatever it is you're going through, keep your faith in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and know that it is temporary, and that whatever it is you're going through, you do not know what is in store for you in the future. I mean, would have you expected to be here?
Absolutely not. There is light at the end of the tunnel. I mean, but that's just like one aspect of the dark periods of my life. I mean, I had others, and one of them led me to the entrepreneurial journey. I struggle with that word. I mean, I always had that streak in me since I was 18, 19. I always had that streak in me, and I was a consumer of a lot of direct marketing material. But I never really managed to get it going. I think the opportunity was a lot tougher back then. But then, you never asked me this question, but I'm answering a question you not asked.
Please, go for it.
I started on my entrepreneur's journey.
Yeah.
So I always had this streak in me. I always tried various things and flopped at loads, mainly because I never had the guidance. And then around 2012, I was involved in the charity sector. When I was 22 as well, I was involved in doing events for the masjid, and we'd find that we'd speak about people who sold alcohol. I mean, in my community, in the Bengali community, a lot of people own restaurants where they sell alcohol, and a lot of Pakistanis own shops where they sell alcohol. And off the minbar in the masjid, the imams would always speak out against this. But then when we needed donations for the mosque or for mosque events, they were the first people we'd go to. And I hated this. It really bugged me. But then all the musallis, all the main guys who were involved in the dawah work and who were involved in the masjid events, most of them were poor. They were really poor. But then we were kept in this vicious circle because the imam, who was also poor, would glorify poverty. He glorified poverty, so he had this sense of feeling good about being poor. But then when we needed money for masjid extension or for a mosque event or something, we never had the money. We'd go to the people selling alcohol. I hated that. So many years later, in 2012, 2013, I got divorced. In 2012, I got divorced. I took custody of my kids, my son, who is now 13. So at the time, my son was 4 and my daughter was 7. And I took custody of them. At that time, a really bad period of my life, I got divorced. My house, which was uninsured, got burnt down. So I was living at my mum's. And my house got burnt down. I never had the money to repair it. It wasn't insured. And there's a picture you can see of the first night I got my kids. So when I got my kids, my mum said there's no room. Where they live, there's no room. So I had to bring my kids into this house that was burnt down uninhabitable, no running water. So I got my friend who's a builder to put carpet down in one room, and we've got some mattresses and stuff that my mum was going to throw away, and we all slept on this one mattress. This is in 2012, and there's some pictures of this as well on my blog. So I was in my job and I couldn't take my kids into work. So I did. I took them in. The first day I took my kids into work, but I was told, you can't bring the kids into work. Like, that's not how it works. So I had to leave my job. So thankfully, in the UK, we do have a good welfare system. You know, we have a really good welfare system where you can survive. If you don't have a job, you can get by. Like, you can't live lavishly, but you can just about pay your bills and just about get by if you live really, really budget really hard. So I got into benefits and I managed to like just scrape by. But I knew I needed to do something. Most jobs I looked for, you couldn't drop kids off at 9 a.m. in the morning, go to work and be home for 3 to pick them up from school.
Yeah.
So again, I started thinking about how I can be into entrepreneur, how I can start my own business or do something and earn an income around my circumstances. So at the same time, I got involved in, I was involved in doing some charity work because it's really popular amongst the Muslim community. Charity work became really popular, and it's still popular now. It became a big thing around that time. So I got involved in charity work and I was volunteering. But then I thought to myself, one day it dawned on me that I was asking money from all these people who had money to give. But I couldn't give anything myself, or I could give very little. And I felt like a glorified beggar. I thought, look, I don't want to be the hand that takes. I want to be able to be the hand that gives. So I want to be in a position where I can give generously and comfortably, and not feel it like not feel it as much as I did. I did. So plus at the same time, like I said, I started coming out of that mindset. I started a very poor relationship with money or finances. I used to think it's bad, it's evil, and I used to self-sabotage. And that's when I recognized that up until then, whenever I focused on career or business, I would self-sabotage. I would deliberately self-sabotage. And this became apparent. I wasn't aware of it, but then around this time, I started to become aware that I was self-sabotage. And I completely transformed my mindset around money and it being evil and the root of all evil, and money equals greed equals, because it doesn't have to be. Like we were talking about Facebook, money is not evil. It's just an amplifier of what's in your heart. If you're an evil person, money is going to give you the means to be even more evil. If your heart is good and you have that connection with God and with your spirituality, then money is just going to amplify what's in your heart. So it took me a good few years to really, really overcome and rewire that thinking around money. So I started coming out of that and I thought, okay, what can I do? What are my strengths? And you'll still find I made a course on learning Quranic Arabic. So it's called Quran in 40 days. Understand Quran in 40 days. So I've still got this course that I built. It took 2 years to build it. I didn't promote it at all after I built it. So I did the course, and there was a sister who saw me doing all this, and she helped me out. She spoke to me one day, and she said to me, look, what is it that you're trying to do? She knew my situation with my kids and everything. She said, what is it that you're trying to do? I said, well, I built this course. She goes, look, there's lots of people already doing that, and there's scholars that are doing that. It's a saturated market, and there's people doing it really, really low priced, and you won't be able to compete with them. And secondly, it's saturated market. That's not your strength. Focus on your strengths. What else are you interested in? What else do you enjoy? I said, well, I enjoy health and fitness, and I've been doing that for years. And I think I'm onto something because I've lost weight in 2012, and I haven't gained it. So she said, yeah, go for that. And then I was listening to Russell Brunson, or I was reading one of his books, and he said something about what is that one thing that keeps your ideal client up at night, or what's that one thing that really that's a pain point that people are willing to pay to solve. And I thought to myself, Not understanding the Quran is not a big enough pain point for most people. Yes, they do want, every now and again, they get this spiritually, they'll be feeling spiritually high, and they want to understand the Quran, but they'll wake up, they'll go to work, and they'll forget about it. And they'll go on that forever. Whereas the guy who knows his health is in a mess, and he wants to fix it, he gets up in the morning, because I was that guy, and I could relate to that guy perfectly. You know, I'd look in the mirror, I'd see my love handles, and it bugged me. So then I'd go to put my trousers, and the belt's tight, and I have to buy a new pair of trousers. Then I sit in my car to go to work, and I have to unbutton the top button because it's digging into my, my lower belly.
Yeah.
And then all day at work, sat behind the desk, my top button is open, and I've just kept my trousers together with a belt. So it bugged me, or it dig into me all day, and it bugged me all day. Then I'd be thinking about it at night as well. You know, if I'm having my ice cream at night, I'm thinking like, oh my God, next day. So I thought, okay, this is something that needs solving. But more importantly, I was noticing more and more younger people, 32, 33, being diagnosed with diabetes. In our community, people having heart disease, heart attacks, people even dying in our community. And I thought, okay, this is something that needs to be solved. Like, this is serious. It's not even about aesthetics, but this is ravaging our community. And then, as I mentioned previously, I did lots of courses and programs, things like that. And I looked at what's on offer. And I noticed about 70-80% of what's on offer is just gimmicks and fads. They don't really give you a complete solution at all. Insanity and diets and all this, that is not the solution. But then there are like about 20% of the stuff out there is a good solution, is a proper solution, and there are other coaches like me. But I noticed that none of them catered for our demographic. The few coaches that I worked with, they didn't really understand our challenges. They didn't understand our challenges. They didn't understand our aspirations, our goals. They didn't understand our community at all. And even the coaches that I worked with, I noticed a few. Initially, I thought, okay, Muslims are not willing to pay for a solution to that, or a premium solution. But when I was working with this coach, I noticed that slowly he started getting a few Muslim clients. But the solution that was provided to them didn't cater for their needs. Not completely anyway. And some of them were bitterly disappointed. And there's a few other incidents that happened. And there's one particular one that was the straw that broke the camel's back, is when a Muslim sister who signed up, and she paid a lot of money because his was way more expensive than what my programs are. And she was given a Ramadan plan where 4 meals a day, 4 meals during the day in Ramadan, and one of them had bacon medallions. And so I had the initial welcome call with the sister, and I told her I'm Muslim. And when I told her I was Muslim, she was like, Subhanallah, oh, mashallah, subhanallah, you're Muslim, brother. She goes, oh, brother, I can talk to you then I can talk to you personally. So, and I was like, no, sister, the call is recorded. Like, don't say anything down because the call is recorded. But she was telling me, she goes, look, what on earth is this? I told him that I need a program that's, we're going to Ramadan. I need a program that's suitable for Ramadan. And there's pork in this. Like, what on earth is this, brother? Can you solve this for me? She was absolutely fuming. She goes, if my husband finds out, he's going to have a heart attack. I've just paid this ridiculous amount of money for something, and then I'm giving this. So I tried fixing it for her. I spoke to the nutritionist who makes the meal plans and said, look, okay, sort this out for her. And I sorted it for her. But I thought, wow, like, but there are people willing to pay. People are in pain. People are in pain. They are looking for a solution. And if they think that somebody or someone or something or some program can help them, they're willing to pay to have that problem solved. So that was a bit of an eye opener for me. And then I experienced a few more things like that. And that's when I thought, you know what? There's a market out there, and I need to go all in on that market. Prior to that, I was doing something, but it was a lower price offer. With a lower priced offer, you're just chasing your own tail, really. You can't deliver the service to the quality that needs delivering. You can't give that personalized quality service. Otherwise, if you're trying to do that at a low price point, you're just going to go out of business. You're going to go bust. So I did try that at the start, and I found in the end everyone's a loser. I was losing, the client was losing, and it was a very unsustainable business model. So then I left that, and alhamdulillah, since then, I am where I am now.
Alhamdulillah. Well, it's a beautiful journey, mashallah, and it's a really interesting story about all the ups and downs that you had to go through to end up here. And when I reflect upon my life as well, and what I had to go through to be here, I always tell people, I could have never planned out my journey to end up here. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put me in through all these different situations in a way where He planned it perfectly, where I would end up here, but I could have never planned this myself, right? I just ended up here through the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it sounds like you had a very interesting journey as well, filled with ups and downs, and eventually experiences and realizations that have led you to do what you do now. And if people want to work with you, they're listening to this and they're like, hey, I want to be part of this, Adam. I want to sign up to your program. I want to refer other people to this, or I know someone who could benefit. Where should we tell them to go?
Best place is on Facebook. If you're on Facebook, reach out to me on Facebook. That's the best place. You can see all the social proof. You can get lots of free tips and advice. And a good percentage of you probably never even need a paid service. Just from the free content I put out, maybe enough to help you get started in your journey or even get you to your destination. But Facebook is the best place. After that is my website, kaanfitness.co.uk. It's about K-A-A-N, fitness.co.uk. But I'm also on Instagram, which I don't really log into very often. And also I'm on LinkedIn as well. If you're on LinkedIn, I'm trying to grow my LinkedIn, so do reach out to me on LinkedIn.
Awesome. And on Facebook, where can people reach you? We'll put the link in the show notes in the description. But what should they be looking for? Is it Adam Kaan, K-A-A-N?
Yes, that's my personal profile. Yeah, that's the best.
Perfect. So we'll make sure to include those links in the description. And Jazakallah khair so much for joining us on the podcast today, brother. We had a really amazing conversation filled with so much value for entrepreneurs, for people who want to get fit, for people who want to learn more about the whole fitness coaching business as well. It was truly a pleasure, and Jazakallah khair for joining me today.
Thank you for having me. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Definitely, brother. Thank you so much for joining me. And for all of you listeners, you know the drill. If you enjoyed this episode, then please go ahead and subscribe to the podcast and leave us a rating. And of course, if you want to follow us as well, make sure to follow the guests. We'll drop their links in the comments, and follow us as well, Ummahpreneur, on any social media platform. And if you'd like help with starting your own online business, inshallah, you can book a call with us for free. It's ummahpreneur.com/call, and we'll speak to you to understand what your goals are and if we can help, inshallah. So we'll tell you honestly if we can help you or not. It's ummahpreneur.com/call. And until then, we'll see you in the next episode. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.